Greetings YouTube, JC, Bad Edit Pro with a video about audio. It has been a while since I have posted something. I just haven't had any new audio toys to talk about. But I got a couple here. We're going to talk about two of them in this video. First, it'll be the Technics SL-Q300 turntable, and we'll also talk a little bit about the integrated amplifier that I got with it. Actually, I got these separately, but they just happened to arrive within a week of each other. This is an SA-GX130 receiver from Technics. Let's take a quick tour of the features of the turntable. We're starting over here at the lower left-hand corner. First thing you have is your speed selector, 33 or 45. Moving on down, the nameplate on the turntable, Technics Quartz. Yes, this does have the famous Technics Quartz stabilization for the speed. And it's a direct drive automatic turntable system, SL-Q300. Moving on down here, you have a repeat switch. This is a fully automatic turntable, so you can actually tell it to play one side of an album until the stylus wears completely out if you want to. And moving on down here, we have the Q lever, which is out here in front, and then we have the start-stop switch, which starts it in motion or stops it. Now, I have a Stanton L720E cartridge on here, and I am using a D5E Pickering stylus with the Dust-O-Matic brush. And the reason why I can get away with this is because this turntable, unlike many P-mount turntables that you'll run into, actually allows you to adjust the tracking force for the stylus, and it adjusts the anti-skate as well. As you can see, there's a little sign there that says that it is adjusted already to 1.25, which is what is standard for P-mount cartridges. But this one will allow you to adjust within a range from 1.0 to 1.5. So I've set this for 1.5, which is inside the range for the D5E stylus. Moving over to the platter itself, you can see how the turntable determines the size of the records. It has two little slots in it, and those two little slots are activated when the turntable starts up. There's a little cam under there, and they bump up, and depending on whether both, one or none, is actually able to move, that determines what size record it is or whether there's a record on the turntable. So you can't accidentally start the turntable with no record on it and end up with a problem. Those of you who have seen my videos about turntables before will no doubt recognize this particular record because I've used it before in videos. This will not get me in trouble with any copyright on YouTube. This is the Golden Days of Radio presented by the Longines Symphonette, hosted by Jack Benny. And so I don't think anybody's got a copyright on that. Anyway, the turntable is fully automatic, as I've said before, so we're going to see it in operation. To get it started, all you do is just press the start button right here, and it takes off. You'll hear two clicks. That was the turntable figuring out what size the record was. Puts the tone arm down. It's just terrible music they chose to start this. I don't know why.
Do your youngsters ever ask you, what did you do before television was invented?
Sat around and played records all day. That's what we did. Okay, so we use the queuing lever here, and I'm going to move all the way to the end of the record so you can see the auto return.
Molly? Dan, the other prisoners are saying goodbye. So long, boys. We'll be seeing you, Molly. Murdoch. Jake. The shadow.
There was radio adventure, so vivid and so good that recently 160 radio stations around the nation have rerun The Shadow, using the original dramatizations for a whole new generation of Americans.
And there you have it. Just for the heck of it, let's see what it does with a 7-inch 45. And you can see that it does select the correct record size. Won't do a 10-inch, though. You have to do that one manually if you have a 10-inch LP, but it works great for 7 inches and the 12-inch LPs. I don't like that song, so we'll stop it early. And that's what it does when it actually manipulates the tone arm there to do the records. Now, unlike many turntables of this particular class, Technics actually has made it so you can adjust where the tone arm drops the needle. I had a Denon turntable, which was fully automatic, and the problem was that it liked to drop the needle in different places, and you couldn't actually adjust it anywhere or anywhere that I could find. But this one, there is a little, way back over there on the base of the tone arm, there's a little rubber stopper, and you take that up and there's a screw under there, and you can adjust exactly where the turntable drops the needle. One of the major attractions about this turntable is the fact that it has the famous Technics Quartz lock system that keeps it exactly on speed. Watch this. I'm going to change the speed, and you'll see how quickly it locks back up. Hold the camera steady here. We just switched to 45. There's 33 1/3, and that thing just does not move. Once it gets settled in, it's good to go. I'm going to touch the turntable. You'll see it bounce right back. All I did was touch the platter a little bit, and it works exactly on speed. Wow and flutter on this, according to the manual, is 0.025%. This turntable actually arrived in pretty good condition. The seller did a wonderful job of packing it. The only problem that I had was that when it did arrive, it had this chip that had come out of the corner of the top here. And as you can see, I have super glued that back in place. And at some point, I'm going to get some stuff that's going to allow me to buff this out a bit. Of course, this is in really great shape, considering this turntable is just about 25 years old. Here are the back panel connections for the Technics. It has 3 plugs on the back. One of them is for a ground wire, and the other 2, of course, are left and right RCA. These ground wires are really difficult to find. It's a weird little banana connector. Here's what the ground wire plug looks like, and this is just a little weird connector here. Sort of kind of looks like a 1/8" phone jack, but it isn't. And one of the reasons that I took so long to get one of these turntables was I needed to find one that, didn't have the top all messed up and parts missing. But in particular, I wanted one of these because you'll see scads of Technics turntables from the 80s on eBay, and they won't have these ground wires. And these are very difficult to find. And I really didn't want to jerry-rig something to get it to work. I wanted it to be, the way it's supposed to be and have the actual original wire. Here's a close-up look at the cartridge that came with the turntable. It's a Shure M105E. These were made in the 80s and 90s, from what I can tell. And aftermarket replacement styluses are available. I did give it a listen, and the problem that I came ahead with it was it just mistracked really bad at 1.25 grams. So I think the suspension is either dried out in the stylus or the cartridge itself, or the stylus is bad. So we had to try some other things. So we tried the M92E. It worked pretty well, except that it does pick up a little bit of a hum. Also tried the Ortofon Omp10. This is the P-mount version of the OM series of cartridges from Ortofon. They come with a number 10 stylus in them. And the problem with that is that the number 10 stylus likes to track at 1.5 grams and not the standard 1.25 that P-mount tone arms use. Of course, Technics tables will allow you to adjust that, and some of the other higher-end P-mounts will too. But if you have one that tracks at 1.25 and you can't change it, this is tracking at the lower end of its range and might mistrack a little bit. Does sound pretty good, though. I have ordered a brand new Audio-Technica M, or rather, not an M, but an AT92 CD, which is a dirt cheap P-mount cartridge that Audio-Technica put out a couple of years ago. I have some YouTube buddies that have those, and they actually sound pretty good. And I got a price that just couldn't be beat. I got it for $20 and some change on Amazon. So we're going to give that a shot in this turntable as well. I wanted something that would be a good listening table. I like automatic tables, although audiophiles don't like them. I do, and you can't beat Technics Quartz. The wow and flutter numbers on this thing are amazing at 0.025, very good indeed. And the rumble, by the way, for those of you who have been making comments about direct drive turntables being noisy, is around minus 78 dB. That's according to the manual. Just about the time I found the turntable on eBay, I also found this little gem. This is a Technics SA-GX130 50 watt per channel receiver. These were made between 1992 and 1993, and it is a very nice sounding receiver indeed. Starting over here, you see that we have a power switch. This also has a switched AC outlet, which you're supposed to plug your turntable into because there's no power switches on the turntables. And this way, when you turn off your amplifier, you've turned off your turntable, and if you bump the tone arm, it won't turn itself on. Speakers A and B. Got some new speakers to go with it. They're Sony speakers, and you can check those out on the Interface YouTube channel. They're the Sony B3000s. I did a review for Interface there. And as we work our way over, we have our selectors. Here we have VCR1, which is actually the first tape input. They just relabeled it VCR because a lot of people at that time were using this for their VCRs. And so there's VCR1. Tape 2, VCR2, right there. You have a CD input, and then you have the tuner. This is a really nice tuner. The FM sounds good. Very nice indeed. The AM, on the other hand, well, it's a little narrow band for AM, and the antenna is built into the receiver. It's over here in the dark, and it's supposed to be screwed onto the back, but the screws were missing, so I just have it sitting right there until I find some appropriate screws. The AM side, like I said, it's nice, but the bandwidth's a little limited. Probably goes out to 5.5 or 6 kilohertz at most. And then, of course, you have your phono input here. Nice phono preamp in this. This receiver has a very, very warm sound to it, and I like that. And it's also got a good separate headphone amp. It's not the kind of headphone amp where they take the output from the whole thing and then just pat it down. Technics used to put separate headphone amps in their stuff, which is something that I've been looking for a while. I've gone through a bunch of receivers in the last couple of months trying to find one that I liked. The last receiver I did a thing about was the Realistic, and that receiver ended up developing problems. I think it had some bad caps. So I have supplanted that with the Technics here, and I'm quite happy. Here is your, your tuning for the radio up and down, and here you can set a preset button. You have like 30 station presets, and here's how you get to them. And then it also has a scan where you can scan for the next channel. Down here, of course, AM and FM, mono and stereo. Here, this is your loudness control. With Technics receivers, the loudness, I had one of these before many, many years ago. Not exactly the same model, but another Technics. And I've noticed that their loudness circuits make things sound very tubby. I'm not a big fan of loudness circuits anyway, so I just leave it off. The controls on this are really tight. I don't think it got a whole lot of use. There's no sandiness in the pots at all. It sounds really, really nice. Here you have your bass and your treble control there, and here is your balance control, and that's it. It's a very simple little receiver, very nice sounding little box, and actually what I've been looking for, because it's quiet. Most of the receivers I have picked up, they've sounded pretty good, or whatever. They've either had balance issues. This has no balance issues at all. Where one channel's hotter than the other, and you can't figure out how to adjust it without going in and swapping out capacitors and resistors and anything else that might have gone soft. And the other problem that I've had with receivers is just noise in the system. I just can't stand it. And this one is acceptably quiet. It's very nice indeed, with a very nice headphone amp. So I'm very happy with this, and we'll probably stick with this system for quite a while. Well, there's a look at the latest rendition of my big sound system, the Technics SL-Q300 turntable. And we have the Technics SA-GX130 amplifier, or rather receiver. It's got a tuner in it. And it's a very nice combination, very nice high-end audio stuff from back when they used to build such nice things. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to find a receiver of this sort of quality and simplicity on the market today. They seem to be either very junky, or when you start getting into really nice ones, they're home theater receivers with 5.1 sound, and I don't like that stuff. So want something simple with quality, so I got that here. And then a very nice direct drive turntable, fully automatic, well built, a great machine. They need to build something like this now. I mean, it's like very difficult to find a direct drive turntable that is not, for DJs and has a tone arm on it that's looking for a cartridge that tracks at 3 to 5 grams. If you try and put a hi-fi cartridge on those, you get some issues with the compliance of the cartridge not matching the tone arm. However, with the T4P system, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You just pop it on and let it go. And so we're going to see what this sounds like with the Audio-Technica 92 CD, the cartridge that I'm waiting for to give a shot here. I have a couple of people who have gotten those and said they were really cool, and they're available at a really cheap price now. So anyhow, thanks for watching the video. JC, waving bye-bye. Talk to you again soon.